Okay, we got Rashi down. Rashi says that Shemen, Pat, Veshemen, and Shlokos, all of them, Nichoiro, Am Shum Chasnus. And when the guy did the mice of cooking, Pash is also his owner. So then there's a problem of Bishula, a Chasnus, Bishula, Akum, Pat Akum, and Shemen Akum. And all of them is one Xer. The Jew owns the bread, the Jew owns the oil, the Jew owns the food. And the guy just do the mice of cooking and the mice of baking. Will be a difference or not? See, I'm going to show you this, but we can conclude from Rashi has to do with, since all of them is Mishum Chasnes, so will be the same. And since, and this is really the conclusion, since the Gemara says by cooking, by baking bread, the Gemara says there's three melachos. Gemara says later on, there are three melachos bepan. There's three works in bread. It's in page 38b. The Gemara that speaks about cooking of goyim, a goy cook. So the Gemara says, what happened if a goy put the food and the Jew turn it over? Talks about different parts. A goy put it into the stove, and the Jew baked it. No one goes into details, options. Where is the three melachos? Searching for it. Where is it? The Gemara says, my eye doesn't catch it now. I have to find it. Gimel melachos bepat. Okay, I don't see it now. My eyes don't see it. Anyone knows? Was a shiger hitui. Okay, I don't see it. Up here. I remember it's up here, but I don't see it now. Oh no. Okay. No. Anyhow, so if the Gemara says that there are different ways that if a goy was involved, a Jew was involved in the bread of making cooking, it permits the cooking. So if bread and shlokos are the same gzeira, so whatever they permit by shlokos should be permitted by bread. That's really the point. Which means if there are different gzeiros, different decrees, So the rules of that table, which we have with one, not necessarily the other. You have to check according to the reasons. But if all of them kulu chadak zeira of shulchasnes, whatever the Gemara says about bread, about shlokas, should be also by bread, whatever it is. Shlokas is cooked food, bishula. Okay, so that's what we got from Rashi. Toisa says there are two Toisas in here which we have to look in. One on page 35 and one on page 36, 37b. Lamed Zayin Amud Beis. So I'm going to glance through Lamed Hey because not really the Ikar. The Ikar is really 37b. That's really what we want to focus on. In 35b, Toisa says that bread was not really spread. The Isa was not spread, and that's why people eat today bread in Europe and France. A lot of Jews were eating bread of goy. Talk about kosher bread. There's no impure ingredients inside the bread. But Lemaisa, who baked the bread, was a goy. Owned by a goy, ingredients by a goy, and a goy baked it. You bought it from a goy, but you know that the ingredients are kosher. So a lot of people in Europe permitted to eat that bread because they saw from the Gemara, as the Gemara says, it was never prohibited by court. And Toisa says, they didn't permitted by court because the Isa was not spread. Yes, the yeshiva next to mine in France, what? They bring bread to the yeshiva, bread of goy. I was in Russia years ago with my father. America also, that depends. It is when there's not a kosher bread. Kosher bread. I mean, pasisor, they eat pasisor.
Maybe some people must mention.
But they eat bread of goy.
Bread of goy.
When I was in Russia, there was other bread. They called it black bread. Rabbi Blach told my father. Rabbi Blach was the chief rabbi of Ukraine those days. In Moscow, he was in Moscow. He told my father, "This is the kosher bread. Go and buy it." Do you remember that? The black bread, I was excited, very strong bread and very healthy bread was the cheapest bread. The healthier bread was cheap. But had everything in it. Like the time of the Gemara. The black bread was a cheap bread. Right. So you know what I mean. It's called black bread. It's very tasty, by the way. Very, very, very special. So he told us that's the kosher bread. So why they eat bread of goy, although there's exeya? The answer is because it wasn't spread. And one place it says it wasn't spread because the tzibur cannot hold it. They cannot hold on to it. So then you don't need equal court with numbers and wisdom to cancel, to nullify it. Yes. He said it was a court. What? He says it seems to me there was a court that permitted. He brings Yerushalmi. There was a court that permitted. But he didn't need to have a court equal in numbers and wisdom. And what's important in this Toisa is in the last part, which we'll get to our subject. Toisa says, I'm reading in the middle of Toisas. Umish has a little you there. Umish niza mitachel goyim. One is careful with bread of goyim. You're allowed to eat in one bowl bread of goyim or bread of Jews. Or your food with the bread of goyim. Even though you are careful. Why? You're allowed. Even though even though the taste of the bread of goyim is being mixed with your food, your bread, your food. Toisa says we don't need to be strict. The prohibited taroim is a mixture. Where do you get it from? We know the law is fruits and vegetables are grown and so they call tumas and mices. And take off tumas and mices. They take off tumas and they're afraid. So it's a suffix, but somebody took, Roy took. So The rabbis prohibit because of the minority. But they didn't prohibit more than they didn't go far out. If it's raw vegetables, complete vegetables and fruits. But if it's a mixture of fruits and vegetables with other things, let's say I had a pastry with mixing it, apple cake, they didn't prohibit time. So this makes a similarity. The same way we see that when the rabbis went far out to be strict on the minority, like mine, they didn't go so far, they only prohibit the aim, but not the tahoides. She says, maybe also we have to be strict. That when the rabbis prohibit bread of grain, it's only when it's there, but when it's in a mixture or taste, mixture is not a problem. But maybe not. Maybe they made Xera unreal thing, even a mixture. For example, Stam Yaino, ordinary wine of going, cheese. We learned halal. We learned three things until today, right? We learned Stam Yaino, we learned cheese of going, and we learned milk of going, right? Remember that? We've been spending the last 3 months about it, right? 4 months, those three things. What about a mixture? What about tahoides? A mixture of milk, a mixture of cheese. That halal is a different form. So we saw somebody showing him home. That by, remember the Ramos, you guys remember, or the Rashba. Then once the rabbis, the Chuvas HaRashba, once the rabbis prohibited even mixtures, it's Chetzev, remember Chuvas HaRashba? Comes a Chuf Chetzev Isu, and now you have a mixture of Chetzev Isu. Oh no, the rabbis only prohibit when the cheese is bang, when the milk is bang, when there's a mixture, there was no Gzir on it anymore, right? Depends when it was mixture, the hands of a goy, hands of a Jew. He had all those poskim and process, right? Here Toisa says that by bread, the prohibition, you don't have to be strict. The prohibition will be more than the Iso itself, not the Ahoyes. And where Toisa knows that? Toisa says, I have a suffix, I don't have a raya. But since I found by Itmar that the rabbis that prohibited minority, they didn't prohibit more than itself, not the Ahoyes. And there's an option that the rabbis prohibit bread itself and not tavoides, although there's possible now, but it's something that you don't have to be strict. That's what probably Tosis means. Tosis didn't bring a proof why you don't have to be strict. He says, me. Why not? Because it's the Gabbana. Right. Kedoma is not a raya. It's a raya that since we found that when the rabbis are worried for minority, they didn't go all the way through to be strict with tavoides. So therefore, I don't have to sense. So therefore, it gives me a suffix. What kind of xera they did by tat and lachmir to strict. It's the Rabbanan and lachmir but tarovis. There's no raya from there that save the year. Let's continue more and going to the Bach. There's a Bach in Marshall. Chaygavno bemono. The Bach is going as chaygavno bepat. But the Marshall talks about a vessel. If I have a vessel of going, I go to a restaurant, they give me a plate. The plate is a vessel of going. Before that, they had steak, they had a pig. Who knows what they had, an non-kosher food. Now it's clean. Now I put my hot food on it. Shrimps, who knows what, now I put my hot food on it. There's blios, it's in 24 hours. If I got the going shori, the lace of the papain, since does not have bread in itself, Taroives or Bliois, Taisa says, the Loikozru Elohecha Disibein. Taisa makes a conclusion that he made the decree of bread of goyim only bein when it's itself. But when there's a mixture of Bliois, there's no problem of bread of goyim. Bein means itself. No, bein. It's a mixture. O taroives o bliois es muto. 2 minutes. Okay, so now we know when place that this is bread, we permit taroives and bliois. What about mishul akum? Here, Rabbi, What about bishul akum? You have shlokois. Shlokois is bishul akum, is cooked vegetables, vegetables or fruits that you cook. And we prohibit it. And all of them, according to Rashi, is bishul chas. The gzeira of shlokois is only be'ein. Also, what about ta'aroives? And what about pliois? Mixture or swallowing? Rashi didn't relate to that. According to Tosfos, we have to see what Tosfos hold. There are two gzeiras and one gzeira. If it's one gzeira, and by bread we permit when it's not be'ein, ta'aroives or pliois, so also by cooked food, but ta'aroives and pliois should be permitted. What? Let's say you have, I'll tell you what's the case. I have an apple that is mixed. I took an apple. No, apple is not a problem, bishul. But let's say a potato. What?
We cooked a stew.
Right.
Kosher stew, and then you threw it away. And then in the same day, you lit the fire.
Right, or you're saying lit the fire, so you have pliois, or no, let's say you have some food, there's no issue of bishul. Let's say food you can eat raw, or not important food, which I have to talk about what is considered important. It's not, it's a whole world, we're gonna deal with that, that's chelik base. Hashem, we're gonna read you up. Only chashiv food and you cannot eat it raw. What does chashiv food mean? And it's not so simple. We're going to deal with it as we get to it. But now we in the first stage of this. The first stage of our subject is to define the gzeiros. You have a gzeiro of bread, gzeiro of cooked food. Are the same gzeiro or different gzeiros? What happens? You have bread. Part of the bread is mixed with cooked food. So it could be bread as mutar because we have some permission. The guy's not knowing. The guy's a Jew that is not custom akum. But bishul akum, everybody agrees. So you have in the bread, you have also cooked things. You have a mixture. You have inside. All those things we'll have to deal with. But there are two gzeiras and one gzeira. So in the Rashi we saw it's one gzeira. Bread and cooked food is one decree. All bishul chatos. Tosfos here in the Flamadea base says first that by bread was not spread, and not all the Jewish people accepted that decree. A lot of the Jews do eat bread of goyim, and even those are prohibited and they're accustomed not to eat, they're allowed to eat when there's a mixture or taste of bread. Don't have to go ballistic and wild about it. Good. Now we're going to learn about the Flamadea base. What Tosfos holds is it bread and cooked food are one gzeira or two big gzeira? We saw Rashi says what? All one gzeira, right? Rashi Mishnah. But Tosfos is going to deal with it back and forth. See Rabbeinu Siri, we see the Rambam Shita. The Rambam brings the Rambam the way they learn enough communities. All be the differences in all those things of ownership of a goy, ownership of a Jew, a house of a Jew, house of a goy, mixture, taste. All the differences will be. We have to play around with all different opinions. This is what we want to know, and exactly what does it say. So we're going to do now the Flamed Zayin Amud Beis, the Gemara. Start with the Gemara. Yes, Rabbi. What?
It says that the boy cooked squash.
Right.
You can't eat it. You cook it.
What is squash?
Kishuri.
Kishrim you can't eat raw.
Now, clean the pot out. It's also empty. Now you cook it. Apple.
Right.
Apple can eat.
Apple can eat, but you can be eaten raw.
That's what you cook the apple. You can eat cooked apple.
Right.
Now it's got leaves of the cooked kishuri.
Right. So by bread we don't care about blios. Tosfos says. What about bishul? We care about blios or not? This is something we want to clarify. And by bread, by bishul, we have if a Jew throws one stick, he lit the fire, he lit the stove, he put the pot on the fire, he closed the stove, right? He does some kind of partnership in the cooking and the baking. It permits it by cooking. We have the same rules, the same method also by baking, or not? All those things, as the Rishon is on me, the Rishon go back and forth and go into it. So first we have to define each sheet to what they hold, what exactly the Gzeira, and then we have to summarize the differences, and see the halacha. This is what we want to do. This is our goal the next few days.
For example, in milk, it's enough that the Jew is just watching the goy.
Yes. Yes. Cooking, then we don't have this, that if I watch the goy cooking permits it. No. Yes, why? Because by milk we already mix impure milk inside. By cooking is a relationship. Relationship, we'll see. Chasnus is different, or we'll see another. Yain Nesach is one point, or Yain, you might marry the daughters, because wine brings you love and hot. This, even by wine, there's two slogans. Yain Nesach on its own. Say of Yain Nesach. Now she says, no, Yain will bring it to the daughters, is all one thing. But Yain Nesach can be a reason on its own. Yes, what? Yes. Correct. Now, first of all, the pot has to be not be anymore. There's no problem with bleeders. You brought the pot. You brought the table and you brought the pot. And he cooked his own apples there and he wants to give you part of that. You're allowed to eat it. What? Well, if there's no issue of bishul, which means it's not important food, there's not good food, so there's no worry that through this you can connect him. Because you didn't do you a big favor. There's no real important food gives you people together. Not important food doesn't bring people together. I don't have to say this. Right. Right.
Why would that make it more fathers or marriage?
Why should make marriage or not?
Why should make it a problem?
Because now you have kishuim in it, which has a taste. What? Blios. You have a blios. You have giulim from bishul akum. So now there's a gzeira bishul akum of chastus. So you have the blios. It's free also. To say because of that I'm going to marry. Right. If there's a problem of bliyos, maybe not able to eat the apples too. You're asking why bliyos should bring chasms. I understand. Toises didn't say the whole gzeira is chasms, so by ta'aroi there's no chasms. The whole gzeira of chasms by bliyos of mono there's no chasms. They didn't say that. Toises says I don't have to be strict. Because it's not clear what the gzeira is. Seems to be that once the rabbis made a decree, and that's a Kalli's decree, if the decree wasn't also on and not be'ed, it's not be'ed, even though it's not shaykh so much of chasums by bliyos and betavoy. Once the decree is also, it's a Kalli shemisu. Unless we say the rabbis never prohibit mixture. The rabbis never prohibit tam. There's no Kalli sisu on it. But if there was a Kalli sisu, so you have now nevela. Bishul akum is chefza visu. It's like a nevela. So you have a mixture of it, you have a taste of it is also. And the taste of it is, that's a shaila. Even though it could be now lemaisa, there's no small of gzeira, it could be chefza visu. You hear the answer? Even though there's no small of gzeira of chasus anymore, but once it became a chefza visu, we have a bliasis. Who said that small? Those that say that small by milk and by cheese. That blius also, they learned that although the gzeira was A, B, C, D, and by ta'aroives there's no gzeira. No, it's a chefze visu. Okay, now let's continue on. I'm reading now the Gemara on page 37b. V'ashlokos. This is 37b in the bottom, the last two lines in the short lines, in the narrow lines. 37b. The last two lines in the narrow lines. V'ashlokos, the Gemara says, minoanami. How do we know that cooked food are prohibited? Omar Abchia Barab, Omar Abyoich. Wow. Abchia Barab brings in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, which was the biggest Amoiro. He was the big Rosh Yeshiva. He's the author of the Yerushalmi. most of the rabbis in the Bavli, Talmud Bavli, all his students or students of his students of his. He was a chief rabbi of Eretz Yisrael. And he says, you know why you're not allowed to eat? What's the source you're not allowed to eat cooked food of goyim? Oh, Makro. It says a story in the Torah that when the Jewish people walked in the desert, they went through Edom and Ammon and Moav. And they sent messengers to them and says, listen, let us go through to Israel. And not only that, don't worry, food with money I'm going to buy, and I will eat, and water with money, give me and I will drink. That's what it says. And he said, no way, you're not going to pass through my land. So they went over Edom, they went over Ammon and Moav, and then Sichon came to fight with them in war. And they said they destroyed them and killed and conquered his land. So it says it like this. The verse says, the Jewish people told Edom and Moav, bread with money you're going to sell to me. I would eat. What do you mean? The guy will cook the food. I'll buy with money. Erev Shleima, who cook the food? A guy. A guy cook the food and I'll buy with money means I can buy food of money. Water, water you should give me with money. Vishatit, I will drink. So bread goes together with water. Kamayim, like water. Same way water is all organic, nothing changed. Also talking about bread, talking about food that wasn't changed to organic structure. Was really if I take wheat and I bake those wheat in the oven, not bake, I heated those wheat in the oven and made it klayot, sweet grains. Or Hanami Asurim, they should be prohibited because they didn't change the format. If it changed, grains, I made bread, it changes format, so I cannot buy it from them. I only can buy food like water. It didn't change. But if it changed, I'm not allowed to buy. He says, well, that's true. I cannot buy even wheat, grains of wheat that was heated in the oven. The heat, and if you want to say so, we know clearly not so. If you have a goy to take grains of wheat and makes it sweet grains in the oven, permitted. So it cannot be that food should be like water, no change of the format. But if there's a change like bread, you're not allowed. So it's also grains that I put in the oven, I'm not allowed. That's I know it's allowed. So that's a real different definition. Ela kamayim, rather like water. Mamayim, so it's also say water didn't change from their creation. Also bread didn't change from its creation. Not that it didn't change at all, it didn't change from its creation. If that's true, so wait a second. So grains that are put in the oven didn't change from the creation. But grains which I made bread out of it changed. Now I cannot buy from goy. That's not true. If I took grains and I grind them, should be also. If you want to say so, we learned the price and not so. Wheat which I made it sweet by putting off and heat it up, or flour, or clean flour, sifted flour of them, no permitted. El rather means I'm allowed to buy with money food like water, which like water. Water was not changed from the creation from fire. Also food wasn't changed through fire. So any form of food that didn't change through fire, I'm allowed to buy from them. But food that changed through fire, like bread, I'm not allowed. It has to be changed from the creation and through fire. The Gemara didn't like that. Midi urksiv doesn't say fire in the Torah. And the Gemara retracts from the statement of Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan, the big Amoy, wanted to say what? the prohibition of cooked food of goyim is doraisa. Because it's not true. The Rabbanon is a rabbinic decree. The Quran, the verse is smachta b'alma. The verse is just to like a hint. It doesn't really mean in the pasuk in the verse. It is really totally rabbinic. And why? Look at Rashi, unbelievable Rashi. Top of the page 36, 38a, and top of the page. You hear this, Rebel? Miderabon, Rashi says, Shelo ye Yisrael rogin etzlan. Why the rabbis prohibit cooked food of goyim? That the Jew should not be custom by the Jew, by the goy, the machal to eating and drinking. And then what Rashi says? V'yachilenu dobel tomeh, and it would feed you impure foods. 1 second. I thought you're not to eat cooked food of goy because you might marry the daughters. Why Rashi shoves in here, you might feed them impure food. Toises right away jumps on Rashi. Figures Rashi, the Rabbanon goes on Shum, the Chai Shishem Echinu Davot Mei. Yoyser Yoniga Lefaresh, Mishum Chasus, the Pigash Bakutas, Bamaslisi. He says, it's better to explain of marriage, the word of marriage. Like Rashi himself in the Mishnah explained marriage. So we need to explain Rashi. Why in the Mishnah Rashi says you're not going because of marriage. And here Rashi in the Gemara says you're not allowed to eat cooked food because he might feed you impure food. It's a lot of nafkaminas in this. If the worry is chasus marriage or might feed you impure food. Where I don't worry for marriage, not for trade. When I worry for trade and not marriage. Cases like this, yes. Nice language. But not the passions. Good, I know it's not the passions. I know what you meant.
Can't answer. Here, the Gemara asked the question, and we can't find a deal. So the Doha Rashi has to say in Klayot that the reason is more for
no, Klayot you're allowed. Klayot you're allowed. Only bread you're not allowed. Only cooked food you're not allowed. Bread, cooked food, not bread. Cooked food you're not allowed.
Maybe I should get accustomed to being by them. During that period of time, if you get accustomed, they'll feed you trade. And in the end, you'll be getting close to their daughters and you have both problems.
Okay, what happened? You hear this, Eliyahu? What happened if it's a monk? It was a monk. What is a monk?
They're in the.
A monk has children.
No.
Probably they do. They cheat. I'm joking. They don't have children, right? They don't have children. So there's a problem to eat with him, cooked food, marrying who?
What about a good guy from corporation?
What about corporation, monks? Corporation, monks. No problem of the daughters. There's another problem. He might feed you impure food. Yeah, that would be the nafkamina. Nafkamina is we have two reasons. Rashi tells us two reasons. Number one is what? Marriage. Number two, he might feed you impure food. So Jesus says he should have explained better, like he explained in Mishnah Chasnos. But Rashi didn't want it because Rashi wanted to say no, even though there's no worry of marriage. Like who? The Jewish people are traveling, and they're going to buy from merchants of Moab and Edom. They're going to buy water and bread, right? So why not? You're not allowed to. We know what it means. Not allowed to food with fire. Okay, but the rabbis made a decree and they made an asmachta from this verse. From this asmachta of the verse, there's a worry of chasnus, marry the daughters. You're traveling, not marrying the daughters. You're traveling on the road. Yet there's a problem that what? It might be custom by him eating and drinking who feed you those musas. The same way I'm not going to marry his daughters, I'm not going to be accustomed to eat with him and drink with him because I'm traveling. Same way I'm not.
You're not traveling. Why?
No, talk about from the if the cause asmachta, maybe I'm just trying to say where Rashi got this that the Xavier is he might feed you impure food. Rashi should have said like he said himself chasnos. We said the difference between them. Among corporation, there's no problem of marrying the daughter. There's a problem of double tongue. But where did Rashi get it from? Where Rashi got it that somehow he got from the Gemara, not like the Mishnah. Mishnah says chasnos. And suddenly in the Gemara he changed his mind. So I thought to myself, because the raya of Rabbi Yochanan was from the story of Moab, and the Gemara holds that raya is not a raya, clear raya, it's only a smachta. I read the Rabbanon. But what is the asmachta? From the asmachta I can learn what is the issue of the Rabbanon. And the asmachta was what? The Jews were traveling, and they buy. Right? Or, and not only that, could be one guy buys so many. A koi be'alma in the field, and the traveling. There's no problem of chasnus. So that's why Rashi had to come on. But even that I have a problem. What my problem with? In the same way I'm traveling, I have a problem of double tome. I mean, chasnus. Also, here Rashi says, "Shelo yisol rogil," don't be accustomed to him, and will feed you double tome. Same way you're not married his daughters because you're traveling is akrai. Like Rashi says that the Rebbe permitted bread in the field because what Rashi said. There's no worry of marriage because it's temporal in the field. So Rashi had a problem. So what kind of guy is that from the, what kind of smacht is it from the story of the Jewish people traveling in the desert? There's no problem with chasnus. So you have to make up a new gzeira of what? And it has to be that the gzeira the Rabbanan is, you can double tome it. But even then, it has to be rogil. How can you have a koi be'alma rogil?
Why can't?
Oh, so he's saying food, even when you travel, you become, we call it lakuach. Let's say lakuach, a customer. Even traveling, but when I travel, I'm a customer of this guy. So as a customer, you come again and again when you travel, she might feed you non-kosher food. But to marry his daughter, you have to sit there. And you're traveling. You come again and again, but the marriage, the daughter's daughter is sitting. It's hamshuche. And maybe Rashi understood that's no gzeira. So that's all about gzeira of chasnus. It's no gzeira of chasnus. He might feed you non-kosher food. That's what Rashi says, that's the gzeira. That's maybe the answer that Rashi would say.
The question, the raya start from shlachos. You know,
Right.
shlachos. So at the beginning, Rashi says in the Avamine that the shlachos is like bread or whatever, and it's mishum chasonis. But then when the Gemara says elon, Rashi with bread, says shlachos is not mishum chasonis. Shlachos is just shema kedon lavar domer, but it's not in the gezei of chasonis like bread. And
Why not? What did you say? Repeat what you said.
I'm trying to say why
Rashi made up a new time?
we start with shlachos.
Right.
The verse says nami mile the shlachos is or
Correct.
and Rashi says mishum chasonis.
Right.
But then, when the Gemara says Ella, we can't, the Christ not, it's just an asmachta be'alma.
Yeah.
After we say that Christ is just an asmachta be'alma, so maybe the issue of shlokos, just shlokos, is because, it's
Yeah,
not mishum chasonos.
But why a new reason? Doesn't make, you're not giving me a reason why it to be a new reason.
Well, it doesn't invite the Jew to eat just a soda. He invites you to drink wine, to drink bread. That's important food, but not just to make shlokos. So maybe shlokos is not mishum chasonos. Shlokos is maybe it's not in the bag of chasonos. At the beginning, the Gemara says Ella, the Gemara says Davar Dam.
Right. So what was I still understand what he's answering. Why Rashi gave us a new reason? What's the answer?
Because shlokos is not in the data of chasonos.
Why not?
Because it's not an important food.
Not true. Rashi says in the Mishnah that shloka is enough important food.
Yeah, but then the Gemara says Ella. The Gemara says
No, the Gemara says Doraisa. The Elo is we went down from Doraisa to the Rabbana, but it's the same. The beginning is Doraisa, and I went to the Rabbana. The Rabbana is Gzeira. What's the problem? Let's see Toises a little bit more. Maybe we'll say another answer. A second. Oimer Harav Rabbi Avrom ben Rabbi Tovi. It's called the Raiva. The Ravid of Balatois, the Ravid says, Devadai shlokois osu chachom. Surely, cooked food, the rabbis prohibit. Listen to this. On the left side, Toises, we continue on 3 lines down. Toises. Top of the page, 3 lines down of Toises. Oine Rabbi Avon ve Rabbi Dov. Devadai surely shlokois osu chachom. Cooked food, rabbis prohibit. But Shagoy mevashlo mebeis. When the goy cooks it in his house. Here are rabbis. Where did the goy cook it? In your house, his house, your ingredients, his ingredients. Comes and he says, surely shlokas the rabbis prohibit when the goy cooks it in his house. But when he cooks it in the house of a Jew, here it is binyamin. When the goy cooks the food in your home, אבל כשהוא מבשל בבית של ישראל, אין לו חוש, there's reason to worry, לא ילחסנוס, not a marriage, זה לא ישמע יאכילנו דברים טמאים. You don't have to worry, he might feed you impure food because of your house. Whoa. What Taisa says? Wow. Taisa says, the name of the Rabbi Avon, the Rabbi David, he says, the whole prohibition of shlokas, it's when the goy is cooking in his house. So he might feed you non-kosher food, might marry his daughter, because in his house he has his daughters, his beautiful daughters walking around, he has non-kosher food mixed to there. So you worry all those problems. But it's in your house. You bring a chef, a worker, it's in your house. What is there to worry? There's no problem of chasnos. There's no problem, might feed you impure food. Now, Tosfos only made, he polarized the case. He said the house of a goy, a house of a Jew. But he didn't talk about a house of a goy with the ingredients of a Jew. Or a house of a Jew with the ingredients and the work belongs to a goy. No, he polarized it. A house of a goy, I'm worried for chasnus, and I'm worried for feeding you non-kosher. A house of a Jew doesn't matter if even if the goy owns it. It's in my house, no problem of marriage. There's no problem of feeding me impure food. The Vadai surely came and Shagoy Mevashel. Since the goy does the work of cooking, who said before, Moshe Holzberg said, Herzberger says, Minzberg. He says, what? Herzberg, Hartsberg, mountain of heart. So Herzberg, he said, Moshe says, no, chef. It's important food. The connection because there's a value. So he says, Rabbeinu Tam didn't agree, since the goy is cooking. The goy cooks, the rabbis didn't make any chiluk. Ben reshus lereshus Yisrael, reshus goy. Ki lo oilom always, there's shloch, there's just to worry. Shema gam lo lizor, Rabbi shel Yisrael, Rabbi shel goy. If you're not careful in your home with a goy, you're not going to be careful in a house of a goy. He's not saying your svara, but we can say it without Tosfos. Instead of not saying that the rabbis didn't make a split, saying no. Talking about a goy is cooking, I give value, and I feel a favor, and I feel a connection when the chef, Yavi says, oh, let's thank the chef. Oh, he cooked the fish well, everybody clapped to him. He clapped him. The Balamai, I'm the owner of the meal, and I brought everyone to the bar mitzvah, to the wedding. Thank the guy, he brought a good chef, or he thanking the chef?
The chef.
Because
he didn't poison you.
exactly, he poisoned you, or how he cooked it, and he can bring a chef. He can bring a chef. He can bring a guy that really give all the good ingredients, and he can ruin it. Or he doesn't have to cook it well. Whatever. Everybody cooks hashivas to how to cook it the way he cooks it. It's like hashivas, as the Gemara says. The Gemara says, which means when you go to a house, to a restaurant, who do you thank? The waiter, not like the owner of the barrel of the wine. Saying, say Hashem, we thank Moshe Rabbeinu. Now Yoshua, they did all the miracles and brought it to Israel. It's not them, it's Hashem made the miracles through them. Why have to thank Moshe Rabbeinu? Thank Hashem. No. People thank the waiter, don't thank the owner. And the Gemara says you're allowed, the Torah teaches that you're allowed to thank the waiter. Hashem teaches us that we're allowed to thank Moshe Rabbeinu to give value for man, even though Hashem is the one that made the miracles. But anyhow, there's a value by the cook. The guy cooked it, so we made it 1 second. So although there's no worry of maybe feed you impure food, but that will cause a connection that you marry his daughter, or maybe connection go to his house later on and eat that kosher food. There's a chance of a connection. And maybe this is for you, Reb Shlomo. Why Rashi says the leikel emechesh lamshuche in Daf Lamed Amud Beis. He says in the field, I don't worry for being pulled. Because being pulled means I'll be accustomed to me non-kosher food. Or being pulled means I might marry his daughters. So Rashi exactly want to run away from the problem. He says, no. In the field, by a bread in the field, we don't worry on shuke. We don't worry for the two worries of bishul akum. By bishul akum, we worry for shuke, being pulled. What's going to be pulled? Marry his daughter. Feed you non-kosher food when you pull to connect them. Right? A bread in the field, there's no problem on shuke. Why aren't you doing on shuke? He said, no, because he run away. There's two reasoning. And we explain why Rashi came from two reasonings. Two options. We gave a small to Rashi. One was the asmachta of the story of Am Yisrael traveling. Number two, we said Nusmara. Why Rashi had to come out of feeding him? Because Rashi understood to talk about all bishul akum, even by a house of a Jew. So the house of a Jew, it's no way of marrying a daughter. But it's more like Abinu Tam, but they still made Xera, you might marry his daughters. If you connect to a goy, you marry his daughters and finish. Okay. Now we have to go back to the previous list. Yes, go ahead and explain.
Compliment to the chef.
Right.
Fancy restaurants.
Compliment to the chef, right.
True. What is the kind of result in how to the reason of the it's in a Jew house or not?
I'm saying, according to Rashi, could have said, Rashi wanted to say, even a house of a Jew, you're not allowed to eat if the guy cooked it, because you might marry his daughters, connect to him, and you meet his daughters. But feed you impure food, you have to be in his house and feed you food. What's a small? But I think the first answer is a better answer. Now,
So that before that you can leave your house and leave the Jew with the food, and we don't suspect.
they might get changed, yes, so that's not.
Around.
Yes, the Mordechai. Voices, Shh, guys. Let's buckle back in. We still have more work to do. Shh, guys. I want to go through the Tosfot. It's very important Tosfot because this is an opening for the Rishonim. Okay? Shlokas. So what we want to do is we're going to open the subject through the Tosfot. We don't have much time. I'll go through the Tosfot. Then we have to see next week the Rishonim, the Ramban, the Ran, the Rosh, it's all printed in the papers. And then I want to summarize the opinions, the reasoning, and the halacha l'maisa, the differences. We'll see what Hashem gives us. We have to work, and some requires some work. Okay? Right. The dirty, should we just say, four letter dirty 4-letter word.
We Jewish, no,
because I saw Reb Shlomo's son printed a Shulchan Aruch with the Agoras below, and he brings down, there's a lot of problems. For example, pasta. Let's say the goys just started to bake it and you finishing to cook it in your house. The goy baked it, the goy cooked it, but you do the finishing of the cooking. You know, by challah, challah, the prohibition, you have to take off challah off the bread. So if they have pizza, they say, be careful. The Badat writes on the pizza, when you buy industrial pizza, industrial types of dough, they tell you, be careful, hey man. then when you're now going to bake it, don't bake a couple of packages in one oven. Why? Because although when they did it, it wasn't mischayev challah, there's a machinery in the company, was each tray on its own, and it wasn't enough for chiyuv challah. Was 300 grams, 270 grams, who knows what. But now you're going to put 5 packages in one oven, you're going to have a kilo of something, in mischayev challah, but you're finishing it. So there is beginning and finishing, cooking, baking at one level. Now, what is cooking? What is baking? Since there are 2 gzeiros, we're going to see in a second. And we see differences in baking and cooking, because baking is one gzeira and cooking is another gzeira. Rashi already told us 2 reasons. Rashi says you cannot eat cooked food from going. Marriage and might feed you impure food. What about bread? Bread, we have those 2 problems. Bread of going. There's a worry of marriage and also might feed you impure food. Rashi didn't say that. Rashi didn't say it only by cooked food. By bread, he only mentioned marriage. I don't know. It's a shayla. We saw one chiluk by bread that is taroives and gliois, mixture and swallow. There's no gzeira by bread. What about cooked food? If it's a mixture of gliois, or a house of a Jew and a goy works there. The owner is a Jew and the goy makes the bread. The goy owns the bread and you cook and you bake the bread. 2 options. All the Rishonim speak about it. It's not my amtzaot. So we're gonna have to go through the reasonings. And not only that, if you have a bread which half of it is baked and half of it is cooked. So mitzad the bread mixture is permitted. Mitzad bishul akum mixtures also. So all those things, pizzas, sukvaniyot. I don't call sukvaniyot in English. Donuts, spaghettis. Each one has a different gather, and there's a big machlekas, a place scheme, and there's a lot of talk about it, a lot of details about it. And when you go in Chutz La'aretz, you want to know what to eat, there's a complicated story. Not so simple. You will see Bezrat Hashem at the end of this coming week or 2. It's not so simple. But go through the Rishonim, we have to come to the conclusion, Bezrat Hashem. It's a big shaylas. And what's considered important food? Not important food. What makes it important? Okay, good. So let's see now Tosfot. Tosfot Daf Lamed Hey, and I want to come at the conclusions. Bezrat Hashem. Tosfot Daf Lamed Zayin Amud Beis. 37b. How do we know they're not allowed to eat cooked food of goy? That bishul akum also. Rabbeinu Tam says, since the Gemara only asked this question by cooked food and not by bread, why the Gemara didn't ask what's the source in order to eat bread? You know what I mean? Rashi told us is marriage, but why the Gemara didn't speak about it? Only by cooked food the Gemara asked what's the source. The kasova midoraisen ha'avim of Rabbi Yochanan was as the Torah. Shmamina, you can infer this. You see, it's a very early decree on its own. Velonik was not decreed together with bread. Bread and cooked food are 2 different decrees. And not only that, there was a havamina that cooked food is doraisa, like the water. They bought food and water with money. There was only a certain type of food. There was a havamina that from there we learned that not all type of food you'll have to buy from going. Only food which are similar to water. There's no fire involved, etc. More rules that allows a havamina. So we see from that, since the 2 things. So there's 2 points. Number 1. The Minon and Mila, how do we know what's the source was only being asked by cooked food? That's point number 1. Point number 2, Toisa says, there was a Havaminas Doraisa by cooked food and not by bread. Must be Shmami, I can from those 2 points. Ksero Kadmonisi is a very early decree. Veronik Zoim Apat was not decreed together with bread. The Shlokois and cooked food. In Yonei Tavshin, any dish, any cooked dish. And the Ma'ashavach Shmaisa, like we learn in this sugya. In the beginning, they made a decree of marriage. They didn't make a decree on bread. Again, Toysa says we see that bread and cooked food are two different decrees. Cooked food was a very early decree to the level that Ahavamina was no Isa. Cooked food. And the maskone is as the Rabbonon, but the very early Gzeira. And bread. And bread is a different Gzeira. It's not a Gzeira. It's not an early Gzeira. It's a new Gzeira. Beginning means when they made a decree on cooked food, they didn't want a decree on bread. Only later on, they added it. Why? Why did he make a decree on bread? It doesn't apply to it so much marriage. Because chef, and he said to the word to the chef, people value chef. Compliment to the chef. But bread, it's a simple thing. Later on, lately they start giving conditorium. You get a degree for baking. But years ago, it was only cooking. Baking, you don't get a degree on. Baking bread was simple. So therefore, there's no gzeiras. It's very, very common. It's not important food. It's important food that you cannot live without it. But it's not important means that's not no chashivus. That's what it was. Right. I can put some flour and water for myself. Well, you didn't do nothing for me. Right? Even you stupid and you're dumb, you're not educated, you can make pita. Right? Oh, I like that. Oh, tonight we're going to have to make some steaks. Until the Sham I came, because who you test doing Malapa. Even though the Masnisi Tani Pam, because even though the Mishnah says bread before cooked food, and according to you, Rato, he says Rabbeinu Tam, cooked food was a very early gzera. They thought it's the rice and they changed the Rabbanon, but it's a very old gzera. And when they made the old gzera on cooked food, they didn't make a gzera on bread because it's not so common you marry the daughters. Later on, they also made decree also on bread.
They started making shawarmas.
Cooked food is a very early decree. Also was when they permitted the bread, the field, when there's no bread around, they permitted the bread because it didn't spread the takonet. They didn't permit cooked. They didn't permit the cooked food. My timer for this reason, the part of shlokas because bread and cooked food. 3 million and 2 different things. It's very important now. Toises arouses a couple of problems. Toises arouse a very big problem. We just said previously that bread was permitted because it didn't spread. So why didn't permit also shlokos? Says because there are two different decrees. Shlokos are very old decree. It's very common to marry the daughters. It brings you together. Excellence to the chef. Compliment to the chef. That's cooked food. But bread, they didn't make a decree b'klal. Only later on, many hundreds of years later, they added also the decree on bread. And it didn't work out. The Jewish people didn't accept the decree of bread, and they permitted bread, certain areas. But cooked food was a much earlier decree, not stuck. Not stuck for hundreds of years, or thousands of years. And therefore, Taisa says, cooked bread, baked bread, a lot of Jews permit, and not only that, even those are prohibited, mixture and taste is permitted, but cooked food, it's a very early gzeira, and it's a different gzeira. So maybe once the point of place is not clear, I'm just assuming, or this could be that cooked food prohibit even taroivis, and prohibit even mixture and even taste. Because it's a different gzeira, much earlier gzeira, much so severe. The warriors are much stronger, much warrior. So maybe then we prohibit even the mixture and even taste. Not clear. And even the house of a Jew, like Rabbeinu Tam himself says later on, even the house of a Jew, like Chil. We came to a new there's two gzeiras. There's a gzeira of bread and the gzeira of shlokos. Gzeira of cooked food is a much earlier gzeira and makes more sense, and it was spread. and they couldn't change it, and the oven was the even. But bread is a much later gzeira. It's less of a svara, and it didn't work out, and they permit. And even though it's a prohibit, there's no prohibition by taroivus mixture and taste. What about cooked food? Cooked food is even a house of a Jew. The same Rabbeinu Tam says the gzeira, the Rambam is going to decree. Because it's a very early gzeira, and there's a real worry of marriage. Worried he might connect to him, feed you non-kosher food, marry his daughter. Rabbis prohibit. Excellent for the chef. Finito la comedia. You can't eat any cooked food of goyim. What about mixture? Even a house. What about mixture? I didn't speak about it. But I would say even mixture and even taste of mishul should be also only by bread, which wasn't spread, and you see any hours week. So you say there's a later gzeira, it's not the same gzeira, much later gzeira. So you have a suffix what type of gzeira they made. So you don't have to be strict and say the taste and mixture permitted. But the clear gzeira, which we know the clear gzeira was very early gzeira, was accepted and spread very strong. So even a house of a goy is also even mixture, even taste. I'm adding to those two things, which is unclear if to clarify that. Now, this, I'm not going to do it now because it's late. But I want you guys to see the Ramban, see the Ram. It's printed in the papers, Ram. The Ram brings all the opinions. He brings the Rambam Shita. It's unclear. You have to learn well what the Ramban says. It's tricky. You have to work it out. Work out the Ramban, the Ram, the Rosh. Print it in the papers and place as well, and go through the ideas and the shilas. They would is exact which one was holds. Bezrat Hashem, go through it, and then we'll go through the final end stage of what? The final end stage of visual akum, the heteri that we see. That the Rishon you speak about. If the Jew threw a stick, he opened the fire. And the final stage should be what is visual akum, domoshin, cannot be raw and important. And the last part is important food of cook. What is important? That will be the last part of the soup. So we just did now the first stage. That took gzeiras and one gzeira. I just want to conclude with one point. Came to my mind to say, now I know why Rashi brought a new tam. Because Toys had a problem. Why they permit bread and didn't permit cooked food? By bread is only chasnus, and there's much later gzeira. But cooked food, there's other reasons of double tummy. Now we married double tummy. So maybe it's because there's two reasons they didn't permit. Although the point was, if bread and cooked food are the same, cook and baking is one thing. As we see in Toys, we would say two things. But if there's one thing, so if bread is permitted, also cooked food should be permitted. That's Rashi says no, but there's another gzeira by cooked food. The gzeira of might feed you double tummy. Therefore, that they didn't permit. Chasnos they made cancel it, but not the gzeira of eating double tummy. It's an option.
Is that because by making bread you only have 2 ingredients?
No. Not because of it. Because it's very hard to live without it. Like he said, everybody in Texas, everybody in America, when you're in Golus, it's very hard not to eat bread of going. It's almost impossible. So that's why the Jewish people didn't accept it. Wasn't spread. It's too tough on the Jewish people.
Don't have a concern of something contaminated eating?
No, you know that here the cooked food are kosher. But you might get connected to him, and then you go to his house and he feed you without realizing the matter. I told you the story when I started this whole sugi. I told you the story. I had a boy. I had an Israeli boy. I told you the story with the girl from Spain that she wanted to spread the Bible on him, right? And then she gave him wine. You know? That's how it starts. Yeah.
So according to the last explanation, in the Achamina, Shlatois Vishnu was a very old decree. Even we saw that it's from the Torah, and after with the Ella, it
was still an old decree.
After bread. First of all, was bread, you should sandals, and then get shlach.
No. It's an early gzeira, but the gzeira of chasnus and double tummy are early gzeira, and bread is chasnus, but much later gzeira because not clear svar of chasnus.
And shlach boys, stay running, you should wash.
Stay there, that's what we're eating to Rashi. Say why another answer to Rashi. Why Rashi had the new svara? Because Rashi had a problem. Why Shlokoi stayed and pot got destroyed? Why bread is permitted in the field and Shlok is prohibited in the field? The Rosh Hashanah Shuchay. It says no. There's other svaras of Rechilo Double Thomas and that's another svara. Whatever it is, we have to, Rashi's la halacha. We'll see. The points can bring down the nafkamina is like I told you. If you have a monk, right, Eliyahu, have a monk doesn't have children, a company, there's no problem of marriage. It's no problem. House of a goy, owner of a Jew. If a Jew is part of it, a goy owns it, but a Jew. If a goy owns the bread, I might marry his daughter, even though the Jew is involved in the baking of the bread. So part of the baking, part of the cooking permits what? Permit marriage? Or what about connection? Okay, we'll see on the other svaras that we see that Ram brings other svaras. We have to deal with the svaras and nafkaminas and summarize our halacha b'ezras Hashem this coming week. It's all in the papers. The Musa Shmuz. What was the Shmuz?
It's not bishul, or cooking in the fridge.
Or salting it, right?
Those are all questions for later.
Right. All this is a very important question because halachically is reality. This happens a lot. Baruch Hashem, we live in Eretz Yisrael, but people live in Chutz La'aretz. It's very common questions. And not only that, you should know. Years ago, when somebody became a rabbi, you had to be tested on what? What? People today only get tested right about but my father days would have to be tested. They didn't stop in Kufyud Beis. They can you understand 10 simonim, pat akum, bishule akum, milk of akum, all those things had to be tested because it's the most common, even more than Melika, right? It's actually the most common. So they have to learn those laws that make tested. But we cut off those simon. We're not so involved. But still, you have to know those things. Travel, Chutz La'aretz. We bless you. We will go back to America. Nobody goes back. We go back. You have to know those other ones. Okay. Or the import food that comes from there. You know, or the pasara, kalabakum of kasha. Torah Pasha Slechta. So I spoke about yesterday, I mentioned it, but I want to go through it a little bit more. You look in the Pasha, you see something very strange. You see that Avraham Avinu gets close to Egypt, and he tells his wife, what he tells his wife? Look, I see you a beautiful woman. Beautiful woman. And the Goyim, the Egyptians are Stufei Zima, and they're not accustomed to see beautiful women. As the major, we know the Gemara says in other places that the foremost beautiful woman was Chava. Soleimani, one of the most four beautiful women, probably was beautiful. Chava was one of them. Sarah was one of the most beautiful women ever from the eyes of creation. What does that mean? Probably symmetric, everything's in place, everything is without blemishes. Because today the world has a big argument what's beauty. Today they say, okay, even black women, Chinese women, Korean women, how do you call it? Red people, how do you call those red people? Indians people, whatever colors of skin, they don't measure that as beautiful or not. They measure skinny, symmetric, clean, without cuts, etc. Years ago it was fat. You go to Africa, fat women are considered women, important, beautiful women because they have money, they have meat, they have what to eat. What are dreams? 300 years ago. So whatever, different perception. So what does it mean exactly that Soleimani was one of the most beautiful women? So you have to see, in my mind, I thought to say, and I saw, I think people write it, that she was the most closest to the creation of Hashem. And the creation of Hashem was complete, shleimus, and Tzuk in Sayah. There's no greater painter than God. So he painted Adam and Chava the most beautiful, the most complete way. And that's our barometer of beauty. You know, people can have long noses beautiful, can have fat women is beautiful, can have skinny, tall, skinny. You have a lot of different ideas and perception of people's mind. But exactly, is subjectional to the person's understanding. But when we talk about beautiful, that Tzolei means the most closest to the creation of Hashem. And definitely the creation of Hashem is ultimate, complete is shleimus, and that was Tzolei Meinu. Obviously, if somebody will see that, well, wow, no, see Tzolei Meinu, wow, she was totally quite closest, the most closest to the paint of Hashem and Tzuk Elokeinu. So that was the most beautiful, complete one. Whatever it means. But we know our barometer starts with Hashem. Hashem definitely was created. He painted the most complete painting of a human being. Of Tzolei Meinu. So that's for sure. So Tzolei Meinu was the most of the, yes. Yes. Like Rachel, yes. What? Tzach, clean, clear, and red. Red pink, probably. Adon, probably pink. Okay. What that means? I don't know what it means. I don't know exactly what it means, but I do know what I said. It's probably the point. Now, the Gemara says that Rabbi Yochanan pulled his arms. He was one of the most beautiful people, Rabbi Yochanan, and his skin was the skin of like sha'ava. Sha'ava is wax. And when he put his hands in the entrance of a house, of the tent, the rays of the sun went through his hand and jumped inside the tent and lightened the whole tent. It means the fact that his skin was shiny like the Gemara says, like roses, right? The Gemara brings like roses. The Gemara describes the beauty of Rabbi Yochanan. So you see shining skin, white, rosy skin, face colored. The Gemara considers that beautiful. Okay. Is it a perception or the most? That's the way the Marisha looked. The Mishnah in Orlois and Kalim says, Rabbi Shmuel says, in Metzoyer, Mishnah Metzoyer. I saw that Mishnah inside. The Mishnah says, what color exactly is tzaras, is leprosy? And one of the colors, Rabbi Shmuel says, eshkeroa. Sheken b'nei Yisrael and b'nei Yisrael, that color is eshkeroa. Eshkeroa is a tree, which is brown. So in the time of Rabbi Shmuel, the Jewish people had a brown color skin. Shkeroa. That's what Rabbi Shmuel says. So, and Rabbi Shmuel says, b'nei Yisrael yofo, he said, the daughters of Israel are beautiful. Just anius menavloson, the porn became, because of the poorness. It's a famous story. Rabbi Shmuel saw one girl. She didn't look beautiful because she was poor. He took her. He washed her. Gave her fragrance. He put oil on her, and he put her beautiful clothing. And she became so beautiful, and everybody came to grab her and marry her. She was an orphan girl. No, but he did it for himself. Rabbi Shmuel did it to save this orphan that Jewish people married. He had mercy on the Jewish girl. But anyhow, Tzolei Meinu was beautiful. And the Rashi brings down the beginning of the parsha. Sha'aderech memaetet. When Hashem told Avraham Avinu, go on your trip and your journey, the way destroys your money. Because when you travel, you don't work, you spend money. Aderech memaetet amomoy, memaetet priye verivyo, you lose children, cannot have children and born them and raise them. And memaetet hayoifi, destroys the beauty. So now, when Avraham Avinu is getting close to Egypt, he says there are black people and they're not accustomed to beautiful women. I don't know what exactly it means. But that's what it says. So then he says, say you are my brother. You should say you're my sister. I'm your brother, you are my sister. And then what? And then a tivoli ba'avur, will do good for me because of you. And chayson nafshi, my soul will be because of you, will save my soul. And this, when I read this, I had this question for years and years. How is it possible that Avraham Avinu cares about benefit before his life? He says, if you say you're my sister, they will give me presents. Now she says, a tiva will give me matonos, she'll give me presents. And I will stay alive, they won't kill me. He should have said, they won't kill me and I'll get gained presents. Why presents was the first statement, like a Freudian slip. That was his most important thing. And now Chazal criticized when they go to Reuven, they cared about their homes. I mean, the cattle, the sheep before the wife and kids. Do they speak the way they spoke about? No. There's something deeper here. Not Avraham Avinu, not so he made. So the answer is Rashi. This is a very simple answer. Avraham Avinu, this is what we spoke about yesterday. Avraham Avinu had a big yeshiva. It says, "V'sanefesh ashasu b'Haran." When they left Haran, they came not with a few hundred slaves, 300 slaves. They came with hundreds or thousands of families that Avraham Avinu and Sori Meinu converted. Avraham megares anoshim. Avraham converts the men, and Sori Meinu converts all the women. So they came with a whole crew of men and women that they converted and influenced. Thousands of people. Now, yes, Avraham Avinu. Now, Avraham Avinu took care of them, he fed them, he took care of the big yeshiva. The Gemara in Masechet Avodah Zarah says that Avraham Avinu had 400 Masechtos, 400 tractates on Ilchos Avodah Zarah. See? Yes, because Avodah Zarah was common. There's thousands of type of Avodah Zarah. This Avodah Zarah to walk in, give you pleasure. This is also broken, controlled, created. If you learn Avodah Zarah here, you see if you had so many Avodah Zarahs, you can have 400 tractates. That could be goose with the number 400. It means you have to spend all his life in teachings and details how to separate themselves from the wrong ideas of Avodah Zarah and not to be part of the Yisrael Avodah Zarah. Right? So Avraham Avinu had a big yeshiva. He was teaching Hashem Echad, the oneness of Hashem, the keeping away of the Zohar. The Rambam says in Moreh Nevuchim that the whole Torah, all the 613 mitzvahs of the Torah, is to mafkia, is to exclude the bad ideas of Avodah Zarah. And he explains why we don't need meat and milk together, because Avodah Zarah felt that the power of the milk influenced the power of the meat and the mixture influenced this way, that way. He goes through the whole 600 mitzvahs, and he said he read hundreds or thousands of books. That's what it says. He read all those hundreds or thousands of books, ancient books, 1,000 years ago about Avodah Zarah, and he understood that the whole Torah in Moreh Nevuchim is against the bad ideas and the concept of Avodah Zarah that will exist in the world. That's a 400 mistakes.
How not to deal with Avodah Zarah.
Have to get rid of, not only have to have the proper balance, not like Avodah Zarah destroyed your balance, understanding, your acting, your feeling, your understanding of Avodah Zarah. Look in the Guidance of the Perplexed. Moreh Nevuchim, you can read it. It's a book exists. You read it, learn it well, and see that's what it explains. Yes, it's also an aspect of that. But because there's many layers of the Torah. But one of the aspects is this explains in Moreh Nevuchim. So Avraham Avinu had a big yeshiva. He supported all those people. And what happened? Avraham Avinu became broke. No more money, cannot support his yeshiva. How do I know that? Because when Rashi says that when Avraham Avinu came back from Egypt, Avraham went to his travelings. Rashi says he went through all the hotels that he slept before, that he paid money and he paid back to his bar. He had his gemach. Yosef, he paid back to his gemach. All the gemach, he paid back. That's what Rashi says. So the answer is, Avraham Avinu had a big problem. Hashem is Hashem Echad. He understands his reason in the world why he exists and what his job is. He has to bring Hashem Echad to announce Hashem. And as we reported yesterday, Hashem even told him how to do it. He says, "End of the go away from the city, but there's no profit in the city. You're not going to influence your people too much. You have to travel. And by traveling, you're going to influence. Avraham developed the commandment of Hashem. He went, he gave food for free. And if he didn't bless Hashem, you have to pay. Because he didn't pay, all those things cost the money. So you have to have a big operation of money. Here is rebel. You have to fundraise a lot of money. Hashem gave it a bracha. Then he was broke. So probably was a big test to Avraham Avinu. Hashem told him to bring Hashem to the world. He's building his thousands of people of Yeshiva. Almost 400 masechtes. What does he see? He sees suddenly a ness against nature. When you travel, beauty goes down. So what happened to his wife? He sees in the water, she becomes more beautiful. He says, why Hashem is making a ness exactly on this that she's becoming more beautiful? I need that. No, I was already 75 years old and up, right? Who knows what, 60, 70, he's an old man already. What does he need his wife to be beautiful? Must be Hashem is sending me an opportunity to pay money debts on my yeshiva. Wow! See, I'll say you're my sister. Wow! You say you're my sister. What do you do? Give me money. And I came able to pay the bad debts of the yeshiva. I'll stay alive. And his yeshiva first. He came out and said, no, Hashem will save him somehow. What are we worried about himself? Why? His main worry was what? His yeshiva has to fundraise money. He has to pay the debts for all those announcing of Hashem. What? Okay, I understand this. But what is the message like that? What does it do with us? What Hashem wrote in the Torah? What is the message for us? There's a lot of svovas to it. I thought to myself this morning, what is the message that the Torah is teaching us? So I thought to myself, as a Rosh Yeshiva, you have to fundraise money. Sometimes the time is very tough. And you think to yourself, Hashem wants me to carry his children, to bring Hashem in the world, put me in that position. And where's the money? Can't figure out the money. I bend the dollar, I have to run here. The guy tells me, mañana, tomorrow, we have the money, I have a good year. My new guys have to sweat it out. What Avraham Avinu was thinking? That he traveled from Chorvan Hashem go and to go publicize Hashem. He's adding more people to the yeshiva. He has 1,000 people around him. The big yeshiva, 400 masechtas. And everyone, he puts into anyone that travels in the desert, who knows what, and he adds more people, have Hashem, more and more and more. Business is growing. There's no money. Hunger starts in Eretz Yisrael. No food, hunger, and he has thousands of people around him. So he had to leave them, or he traveled alone. Probably all those people. So if you travel all those people, why he has to worry you'd be killed? There's all this protection of 1,000 people with him. Where's the worry be killed? He left them in the way. He says, I'm going to Egypt, we'll come back. Not clear. It was a test. The Ramban says traveling to Egypt was a big test. The test was, are you going to fundraise, go to Egypt, fundraise and continue support your yeshiva and Torah? Or he said, okay, I can't buy shalom. Avraham didn't give up. He went on and he borrowed money. That's what it says. He borrowed money. He went and he borrowed money to pay the yeshiva. He didn't stop. He saw Hashem gave him big ness opportunity. And his wife became beautiful. He says, now we are able to pay the debts. That was Avraham. And this the message for yourself. Even not Rosh Yeshiva. You're married, you have a family, you're learning Torah, and you think to yourself, sometimes you have a hard time. And Hashem wants me to learn Torah. I'm Rosh Koilel, Stam a rabbi, I'm still a teacher, or I'm a learner of Torah, and I have a hard time with money. So where I should stop, that's what it means, I should stop, go up on the route, or continue on with the test and Hashem will find a way to pay it. That's the answer. Continue on like Avraham Avinu, Hashem will find in miracle ways, niflois tanke Hashem ways, like you see right in your lifetime, Hashem, you need so many niflois. Somehow, your life, shiur life for 60 years and money comes in there and things work out based on Hashem. Shabbos. Rabbi Hanania ben Akashoi, both at the Mishbor for the Zagas with a fika. Even when you man and level better man, people do like this. And they miskadei shmei rabo. No more say the Amli, but say I calling them a corner from base Israel. But go is not going to woman.